What shall we do about happiness? Does anyone here not want it? Please raise your hands. This weekend we are going to explore happiness. How are you going to get it? Do you know what it is? Certainly you are confident you know what happiness is, right? And there's no problem. Just give it to you, right? And even you feel that the world owes you happiness, right? And if there's God, He certainly owes you happiness. Otherwise, why did He create you? He created you so that you could get all the happiness you wanted, right? So this subject of happiness is very bewildering, actually. Everyone wants it, but do you see that everyone has it? How do you get it? Do you buy it? Do you rent it? Do you sell it? Do you steal it? How do you get happiness? If we turn on the TV, go to some movies, or just accept the normal social conditioning that's broadcast into our minds, we think that happiness is like a consumer item. Just think about that. It's an acquisition. You grab it and bring it to you. And you make alliances with other persons to increase your chances for happiness and also to defeat any possibilities of distress, right? That's why you make alliances. Family, marriage, friends, relatives, they're all part of your army. And the purpose of the army is to conquer happiness. So try to see yourself in that way. You may say, oh, I'm just a young, innocent person in my early 20s, early 30s. I'm just trying to be nice and have a nice life. But no, the army is mobilized. You're always ready to conquer happiness. And of course, in order to conquer happiness, you always have to be on guard to beat back distress. So that's the purpose of your personal army. Conquering happiness and defeating distress. So you have your alliances, husband, wife, and the husband and wife think we shall multiply and that will increase the army for conquering happiness. And then there's the relatives, friends, society. Such a big, big complication, all for achieving happiness. One famous Western philosopher, not Indian, Western, from Germany. He said that happiness means our power is increasing. I said, oh, that's too gross and extreme. But think about it. He's not simply meaning power in the political or economic sense. He's meaning your personal power to get things in this world, to achieve things, to buy things. So when your power is increasing, you're happy. He said not only is happiness when your power is increasing, but also when obstacles are overcome. Think about that. Your life. Increasing your power and rising over obstacles. It makes you feel satisfied, yes? You can hold your head up high. And when your power is decreasing and the obstacles are baffling you, you hang your head low. Oh, what to do? What does Krishna explain in Bhagavad Gita? Matra sparshas tu konteya shitoshna tukadukada. This happiness and distress comes and goes like the winter and summer seasons. Tam statiksha swabharata. Someone who is actually a yogi is not disturbed by these constant comings and goings of happiness and distress. But honestly, you'll say, you're always disturbed, right? One hard thing to understand. I know many of you are very brilliant and have illustrious academic records. But still, it's difficult to understand how happiness is actually a disturbance. Remind me to talk about that later. It's too much for the beginning. Happiness is a disturbance? Happiness is an agitation? No, no. Happiness is what it's all about. You want to grab happiness, buy happiness, even steal happiness if no one's looking. And of course, here you are in Australia, and for almost all of you, the relatives are far away, right? So you can do what you want to get happiness and no one will know. Right? You can experiment with Indian happiness, Australian happiness, and everything in between, right? You are free from all constraints and traditions, free from all social protocols, free from all traditions. Now you can experiment how you're going to be happy, your way. Yes? No? Yes. Because after all, even your friends at home will tell you, why did you go all the way to Australia and not experiment with new ways of happiness? Take advantage of your situation, right? No grandmother is watching. Parents can only call on the phone. Maybe Skype video conferencing. Then you can make an official presentation, you know, like a politician speaking on TV. Everything is very nice. You give an official press release, you know, to the family. Right? You're simply studying, that's all. 24 hours, 24/7 studying. Or working 24/7. That's it. Nothing else. So, there's no doubt about it. Everyone wants happiness. But what we're going to discuss this weekend is that actually no one knows what happiness is. And that is Krishna's point in Bhagavad Gita. As we get deeper into the weekend, we're going to be discussing that there are some prior steps that we must achieve before we start worrying about happiness. We have put the cart before the horse, by far. I don't know if many of you here will say that money is going to make you happy, but you're thinking, with the money, you'll get happiness. Maybe money is not happiness, but it helps you to get happiness. What is that happiness that money can help you get? Who can say? Raise your hand. No one's not interested in money or happiness?
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Why is entertainment necessary?
Keep your mind busy.
Yes, what were you going to say?
Sometimes to just get out of the stress.
Get out of the stress. So getting out of the stress is happiness, is that it? I don't feel the stress anymore. I must be happy. That's a good point. Entertainment. The American way is to make the human being just non-stop entertained. That system, that culture, is spreading all over the world. Entertain yourself to death. That is success. And with money, you can get your big home entertainment system, right? How many inches is the TV now? What's, huh? 70. Who has 70? Raise your hand. No one's going to raise their hand. No one in the room has 70. How many want 70? Raise your hand. Too early in our weekend for you to be honest. All right, 60 inches. Raise your hand. No? Okay. 50? All right, now 40. Come on. Thank you. One honest person. Entertainment, yes. What else can money do to make you happy? You think? Or you might think.
Pay your bills.
Huh?
Pay your bills.
You're happy paying the bills? It's funny you mentioned that. When I was a little boy, well, not so little, maybe, I don't know, 10 years old. And this is before the internet, of course, so all bills came in the mail. And so my father had a special antique small desk. And this was his bill-paying desk. The bills would come in during the week, and he would pile the envelopes on this special antique desk. And then on Saturday morning, he had the ritual. He would take a ornate letter opener, with an ornate handle, and he would split the envelopes open, and he would write out checks to pay all the bills and mail them off in the envelopes. It was done on a special desk, very antique. So I was asking him. I said, Father, what is so nice about paying these bills? Of course, we're not criticizing fathers who are responsible, but I was just curious about the emotions of it all. Why? I said, why? In other words, I was asking him, why the feeling of satisfaction when you're actually, you're paying bills, you're sending money away? He said, oh, you will find out one day. I can look back now and see that there was a feeling of control, that there's a certain part of your world under control because you have the money to pay the bills. It's like an expression, a personal expression. You're interacting with the world in a successful way. I've got bills and I paid them. Any other possibilities for happiness that money can?
So you can feed yourself, and you know that you can feed yourself for another 2 or 3 years if I have money.
Otherwise you're going to starve.
Yes. That makes me happy because I can live for another 2 years.
Just that you can live for another 2 years makes you happy.
Yes, at least.
And what will you do with those 2 years? Entertainment, right? So in other words, often people say that they can live, but they don't know what the purpose of life is, right? The main thing is to live, yes? And to eat, right? And of course, do people know what to eat? Or eat anything? Here in Australia, yes, it's easy to eat anything, right? Kebabs and all sorts of things. Well, you can also do that now in India, yes? You can eat anything? Yeah. I remember when I first went to India, in 1977. Of course, since then I've probably been maybe 200 times, but in 1977, that was my first time. And I remember riding on the airplane, Air India, and the flight attendant, she would go around asking everyone, because there's no computer systems then, she would ask everyone, what kind of meal you want? Veg, non-veg? So everyone was like, I was watching them on the Air India flight. What you like, veg, non-veg? Veg. You have to keep the profile, They're about to say non-veg, but then, it wasn't respectable to say that out loud, So they quickly say, veg. So, it's not like that anymore. All right, any other thing that money could buy that might bring you happiness?
Giving donation to temple.
That's not you're not buying anything.
You can serve people.
Huh?
You can serve people.
Serve other people? What do you serve them?
Anything, food, clothing.
Non-veg? So you mean like welfare activities, social welfare activities. So you all are going to school and you're all accepting employment and wanting PR so you can do simply social welfare activities. Is that so?
You can look after your family.
Look out for your family. And what is it that your family needs the most?
And
Huh?
love and care. Security.
Security. Well, what does that mean? Security from what?
Food on the table, roof over the house, roof over your head.
That's all you all want is roof over the head, food on the table.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
So you mean to tell me that your family and relatives have sent you to Australia just to have a roof over your head and food on the table? Of course not. You are supposed to get more. So what is that more that you're supposed to get? Who will be brave and honest? What is that more? Ladies can also speak. Remember, this is Australia. What is that more you're supposed to get? No one wants to
Status in
say.
the society.
Huh?
Status in the society.
Status in the society, very important. Prestige, social respectability, right? Upward mobility. That's very important. You want to be known as nice persons who have succeeded, yes? When you walk by your friends and relatives, you want to see that they recognize that you have succeeded, right? You've done everything nicely, right? Isn't that so?
Yeah.
You don't want to walk by and people look at you like you're a material failure. Like you lost your job, or you didn't finish school. Or even still, if there's divorce, it's not so acceptable now, although it's changing. Still, oh, you're a family failure. So respectability is very important. How others are seeing you. What else can money buy for you? A good wife? Yes, if you got money, then so many offers come your way, yes? Is it so? Now, do you think that you're going to be happy in this way? How many of you think you're going to be happy getting all those things we talked about? All those who think you're going to be happy getting those things we talked about, raise your hands. What's happening? Okay, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4.
Maybe comparatively happy.
Compared to what?
Like now.
Compared to now.
Yeah, like
So your goal is that in the future, by getting these things, you're going to be happier compared to now, right? And how happy are you now? We have to make the comparison, you know? How happy are you now?
like, I don't
On a scale from 1 to 5.
know, 3.5.
3.5. Okay. So with more money, you'll go up to 5, huh? And no chance of going down to 1. No one gets stressed out by working, right? Right? How many of you, when you're going to work in the morning, you float through the door of your office? I am here. Work. Now, we're going to explore the angle of the consumer, because that's what it's all about. In today's society, happiness is supposedly equal to consumption. And you are supposed to have visible symptoms of consumption, right? You're supposed to have things. Your relatives back home expect you to have things, and those things are visible. All right, it's nice to have money in the bank, but still you have to have some visible icons, right? They want to see the signs of success. That means you'll be buying things. And that buying things is very important for your social respectability. You have to be able to show others that you are a consumer. This is the standard today. You know how to consume. You have the wherewithal, the resources to consume. And when you marry, or when you're trying to arrange your marriage, the question always is there. What are your resources, right? Because based on your resources, or the possibility of your getting future resources, that will determine your level of consumption, right? So, the implicit or the underlying assumption is that consumption is necessary. The underlying assumption is that consumption is necessary. But is it? Will we become peaceful by consuming? All the pressure of society is on you. Consume, consume, consume. You can buy the things that will make you happy. All right, you can't buy happiness directly, but you can buy things that will make you happy. And then what's coming? It's already here for many years in Australia, but it's also coming to India, that relationships will become like consumer goods. When you get tired of a relationship, you change it, but you get a new one. Pick it off the shelf. And you can be on your 3rd or 4th relationship. What's the problem? You just keep changing them because they don't last, so you just keep changing. So let's look at the attitude, the mentality of a consumer, because that's what's affecting us. I don't know how many of you realize that. Consciously or unconsciously, you have been molded into consumers who feel that it's necessary to consume, to buy things and use them, dispose them, and get more new things. I remember once I was passing through the airport, domestic airport in Calcutta, and, this was maybe 20 years ago. And you know how, especially 20 years ago, in a city like Calcutta, everyone would dry their clothes on the balcony of their house, you know? But this time when I passed through the airport in Calcutta 20 years ago, there was like an altar in the middle of the terminal, and the altar would revolve with bright lights on it, and on the altar, the revolving altar, was a clothes dryer. It was bright, multicolored lights shining on it, and it would spin on its plate. And people were gathering around. In other words, we have been backwards. We have been drying our clothes on the balcony. How can we live without this clothes dryer? That was 20 years ago. There's always something more that you have to have, otherwise you're not respectable, right? To look at yourself as a consumer who has bought into this vision, it takes some courage. Let me warn you, though, that becoming a devotee of Krishna, following Krishna's instructions, doesn't mean that you have no possessions. Everyone needs something in this world to maintain the body. So what Krishna is telling you in Bhagavad Gita is not that you should live like a beggar in the street. No, but simply that consumerism, materialism isn't your main purpose in life. You have to live somewhere, you have to take care of the home, take care of the body, take care of the family. But what is your main purpose in life? Activities for spiritual advancement, because that's what will bring you happiness. I have to say like that because in so many weekends that we have here, I noticed that people think automatically, if you are criticizing the idea of being a consumer, it must mean you want us to live with nothing. They go from one extreme to the other. It's either all or nothing. But what Krishna is talking about in Bhagavad Gita is a balance. The famous verse in the 4th chapter. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Krishna says, whenever and wherever there's a disturbance to the balance of material and spiritual activities, he comes. Dharmasya glani means there's an imbalance. Too much emphasis on material affairs. We're neglecting our spiritual duties. So then Krishna says he comes. He speaks Bhagavad Gita. So please, let us recognize that we are not saying you should have no roof over your head, no food on the table. Yes, you can even have a clothes dryer. But we are talking about what is the main thrust of your life. By the way, how much of our life is dedicated to accumulating things? It's good to take a look at all the things that we're going to accumulate over a lifetime and see it right before our eyes. And that way we can have an honest discussion about happiness. We're going to watch and see what is the sum total of our lifetime's consumption. We had a retreat last weekend in Sydney, outside of Sydney, and I showed this, and everyone was just speechless. Oh my God. Because you could see right before your eyes the whole life's consumer goods that you're getting. The numbers are given in gallons and miles and like that, but I think you can calculate very quickly. Pounds instead of kilos. Would you like to see how your life, your whole life would be in terms of everything you're going to use for a lifetime existence, average 77 years? Would you like to see that? All right. That's just the beginning of the story. So I hope you're starting to get an idea of what a life is like as a consumer. Now, once again, let's talk about happiness. Is happiness in the individual acquisition of all these things? Or perhaps you might say happiness is when a group of you are getting those things together. And is there something more to life than just what you saw? This is the question you have to ask yourself. What are you after? What are you trying to do in your life? Are we just blindly following the general masses? Are we just blindly following programming that we've received from television and the media? What are we actually trying to achieve? If we want to be happy, is consumerism the way to be happy? Or is the respectability that evidently comes from consumerism, is that going to make you happy? What is the story of your life? We want to face that story this weekend. What is your life about? You know, when you go to see movies, there's always some like blurb, some advert, a few sentences, what the movie is about. So what would such an advert about your life story, the movie of your life say? He was a nice person. She was a kind person. What will your life story movie say? How will you summarize it? What do you want to be known for? And how are you going to be happy? Don't you think that we should first try to understand what is happiness? And in that way, we can get happiness for ourselves and for our family and for society. So we need to take the time to actually analyze. And in this way, we'll become more enthusiastic about our spiritual development. Once we face the facts, just like in this DVD, they were giving you the facts. Of course, not all the facts corresponded to your life. I don't think anyone here is hot dog crazy. They described how on just one holiday in the USA, July 4th, Independence Day, the people consume 150 million hot dogs. All right, so you're not into hot dog happiness. But what is the mantra for your happiness? And don't say that you're chanting Hare Krishna all day long. What is your mantra? What is the happiness you want? What's it about?
Experience different things.
Huh?
Experience different things. Like coming here was experience.
Coming where?
Coming here in retreat.
Ah, okay. And what kind of experience did you expect? Just hearing different things, yes?
Yeah.
That you wouldn't think of ordinarily, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We're glad that you came. And please, bring an open mind. Because we want to go deeper. We want to go beyond the way that people usually think. So please don't mind. What is your life about? Are we just blindly following? What do we hope to get? I'm sure so many of you plan to have families if you don't have a family already. So what is it you're going to pass on to your children? Please be a nice consumer. Well-mannered, respectable consumer. What are you going to tell your children? When they ask you, what is the goal of life? So we need to think about these things. So when we come back this evening, we're going to be discussing how there's many things, or at least a few important things, that we need to do before we even consider being happy. What do you think about that? Maybe we are living a distortion. We're going to discuss Krishna's presentation of the science of happiness from Bhagavad Gita. And there are things that we need to do before we can even dream about happiness. But very few people know this secret. They think you get happiness just like you get some consumer good. Just reach out, you got happiness in your hand. It's not like that. Who told us this illusion? And then we wonder why people are so frustrated, they're getting so angry. Even when sometimes you get what you want, you're still not satisfied? Have you ever noticed that? Or is it always that as soon as you get what you want, I'm so satisfied? Anyone's felt like that?
Sometimes.
Give me an example. Sometimes. But not all the time. Give me an example of when you got what you want and you felt satisfied. This is it.
When I got a job,
And you got a job. Okay, you were satisfied, but then you have to go to the job. You cannot simply get the job. You have to go to the job. Or are you telling me every day you go to work, satisfaction?
the time I got the job,
Huh?
that particular moment when
That particular moment. Everything is like that in material existence. The particular moment that I got it. But then that moment changes.
Every fortnight when your pay comes in properly.
Every fortnight when you get paid. Then what? You feel like your life is worth something, right?
For the moment, for that moment. And
For that moment. It goes automatically into your bank account, right? And you check to make sure it's there, right? And how long does it last? The money.
until we pay the next bill.
Next bills. And you also have to send some home, right? How long does it last? The money doesn't last, and the feeling of satisfaction doesn't last. But there is this idea that even though the money doesn't last, and the feeling of satisfaction by getting the money doesn't last, there's some notion of social respectability, right? You are a good person, a nice person, you have a job, you're spending money in a nice way. Nice consumerism. Sometimes, right? You even go pray to the gods, right? Nice consumerism. Not yet Australian style, right? That's gross consumerism. But what we want is refined, respectable consumerism. With some culture, right? Huh? We are meant to go much deeper in life. As we break for this morning, please understand that this idea that happiness is out there just for you to grab it is totally false. If you can understand this, you'll save yourself so much trouble. This notion that happiness is on the shelf, just get it. If I have the money, I can buy it. This is what's ruining the whole world. And as I said before, even relationships are becoming like that. Acquisitions, consumer goods. No, there are very important things you need to do before you can start thinking about happiness. And we'll discuss that this evening. We'll hear from Krishna, the supreme expert on happiness. So hopefully this weekend will be a turning point in your life. And if you take it seriously, I guarantee you can save yourself so much trouble, so much illusion, if you can master these lessons from this weekend. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.